Welcome to Trust the Journey. I am Jason Moledzki.
And I'm Melanie Curtis.
We're here to create conscious connections, to grow and contribute through our practice of openness, honesty, vulnerability, humility, and trust. Trusting the entire journey.
Yes, and our mission is to live, laugh, love, and learn together with you. Duh. Always. Always and forever, family. If you want to find us on the internet, go to trustthejourney.today. That's our website and our Instagram. We welcome your engagement. We welcome your feedback and comments. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. That helps us reach more people, which is definitely our goal, the impact in the community that we're building. If you want to join the conversation more directly and support the work that we do through Trust the Journey, you can become a Patreon supporter. So go to the website for that, scroll down and donate in any amount, and that will get you into our Trust the Journey family. We'd love to have you.
We'd also like to thank our editor, Kimberly Joy Voice, for taking over the editing of the show and posting of the show for us. If you would like her services, she's available at kimberlyjoyvoice@gmail.com. She'll be glad to help you out.
Heck yeah. And if you want to follow Jay or myself individually, Jay is on Instagram at Jason_Moledzki, and I am at Melanie Curtis 11. Cool. So right on, family. Let's dive into this. Today is our Christmas special.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
If you're watching on YouTube, I have a really fun sparkly hat, and I have a really fun shirt with llamas on it, and I'm drinking my coffee out of my Santa mug. Because
Melanie is very festive today.
because why not?
Bah humbug.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the silliness. I'm a fan of doing things like that. I've always been a fan of like costumes and stuff, but this is like a little easy version of that. And also, this is just such a cozy shirt. That's the thing about Christmas, makes me think coziness. You know, hanging out by the tree and the lights. I swear I spend more time in my living room during the time we have our Christmas tree up than any other time in the year, just because I want to hang out with the tree and the lights.
Well, that's kind of the thing about the season, right? Like in the Northern Hemisphere, where we do get winter at this time of year, the winter solstice is December 21st, right? The first day of winter, the shortest day of the year. So there's so much history, you know, and there's so much perspective around what is Christmas and what are the holidays and what does festive mean to you and all these different versions. And personally, I resonate a lot with the winter solstice and understanding that we have this deep relationship to the seasons, and that on this shortest day of the year, we're going to spend most of our time inside because it's going to be cold. And so we're going to be, you know, gathered around the fire. We're going to be huddled up kind of like around the hearth, you know, in the old fashion of living. And that coziness, like that, like, oh, let's nestle in and let's just be, you know, huddled in together. There's something very appealing about that. And I really am happy that I've moved back to a place where it gets cold. You know, after 20 years of living in Florida, I really like that cold time of year because I do want to get cozy and I do want to put on sweaters and I do want to have on warm socks and pants and like all the comfy things, like, because I can't wear like, you know, warm fuzzy pants in Florida and in December. It's too hot, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I love the cold. Oh my God, I love the cold. I love the winter. I love the coziness. One of my friends has a fireplace. Oh my God, I just love sitting there with my laptop and just clickety-clacking away, enjoying the Duraflame, and just, I love it. I know.
Enjoying the Duraflame.
I know. It sounds so cheesy, but like, hey, you make it work how you can. And I think that's something I've always been like, that's something I've always cared to, like a perspective I've always cared to bring is like the real lack of judgment. You know what I mean? For me, of course, I'm wearing this silly outfit today, but I like it because it's fun and silly and who cares? And equally, if someone's not into this, that's fine too. But also like, some people, and we've talked about this before, but some people don't like the holidays. I totally respect that. You know, it might bring up sad memories. That's totally normal. Some people might not have a lot of money and be able to buy presents and this and that. Some people might not want to do that. So there's so many different things. But so like the Duraflame's a great example of that, where it's like, yeah, it'd be theoretically cooler, better, whatever, if you were to judge it like that it would be with logs and wood and you'd make it yourself. But you know what? Hey, Duraflame, it's beautiful. It's fire and it makes me really happy. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Just keeping it simple can sometimes be really, I don't know, just make it easier. And so therefore make it a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit less stressful.
Yeah, so I'm one of those people who has the somewhat traumatic relationship with the holidays, you know, where part of my history is good memories of Christmas and part of my life history is these memories I don't really want to reflect on as much.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get past like my bah humbug relationship to the holidays is based on an emotional connection or an emotional wound that I haven't done anything about I hadn't done anything about. And so I understand when, and there's this whole religious scarring thing, right? Yeah. So like Christmas being, you know, the birth of Christ apparently, and, you know, whatever version you believe is the reason why we celebrate that time of year. Yeah. You know, if you believe that that's Jesus's birthday, great. If you believe that that's the shortest day of the year and that Christmas Day is actually the first day of the new year beginning because the days start to get longer, then albeit believe whatever you wish. But I think Melanie's really hitting the nail on the head that like the attitude that we choose to bring towards the opportunities that we have to connect with each other is really what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
I got a message this morning that asked me, which side of the bed did you roll out on today? Because I was feeling like crap yesterday, man. I had a bad day.
Yeah.
And so today I was like, I rolled out on the right side. You know, because I just want to have that good attitude, you know, regardless of how I'm feeling. I got to start it with a good attitude.
Yeah, and that's hard. I acknowledge you for bringing intention to that moment. It can't be easy to do that. It isn't easy for most of us to do that when we're struggling. So I love that. And thank you for showing up to our space with your beautiful energy as always.
Well, I didn't bring any sequins Christmas tree hats or Santa mugs.
I have so many. I could give you so many. I'm like, I wish we were closer. I would have driven one over just for this episode.
Just for the episode, yeah. I've never really enjoyed the kind of the ornate element of it, but I do appreciate it, you know, like when people go all out and make their house into a winter theme for the fun of making it artful.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's super fun.
Yeah. I think it's like everything else. You know what I mean? If you take off the heavier pieces of it and we look at Christmas objectively from just an outside perspective of not having baggage that we might bring to it. And I mean baggage, whether it's painful or whether it's positive. I like some experience already with it. The way that I think about it or the way that I experience it is definitely not religious for me. It's more an excuse, not an excuse, that's the wrong word, an opportunity to embody some of my values of play. You know, so that's like, this is just playful and fun and silly and nonsensical. So play. And then, of course, the generosity of the season, feeling like you're inviting people over and connection, generosity and connection. So play, generosity and connection feel very present for me during the holiday season, which is why I like the holiday season. So I get to, not that you can't all around, you know, all through the year. Of course, you can lean into those values all the time, and I do in my own ways. It's just a cool opportunity to be able to do it in a, you know, more specific way And I like that. Yeah. So it works for me.
It suits you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Christmas sweaters and Santa mugs and sparkly Christmas tree hats are right up your alley.
Totally. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is
sequins.
There is something fun, like the whole note of it just being fun. I think that's like, it's the point of it is it's why so many of us can look past the, I don't quite understand all the variables involved kind of thing. Like if you're a kid or parent and you're just looking at this holiday, whether you're religious or not, or whether you exemplify it as a spiritual holiday, you just look at the whole thing of it all and you go, okay, there's all the marketing, there's all the context to spend and buy and give and commercialize, and then the forced family gathering that might be awkward with family members you may or may not have a connection with, and there could be all these stressors and all these things related to it. But the whole point of it is to just get together and have fun and be grateful. It's another gratitude holiday, right? Where we're let's gather around and let's give each other things and show each other how we care.
And create new traditions and stuff like that. Share experiences. If the question is, how do we make memories? How do we foster connection and fellowship and love? It's, another way we can do that if we so choose. Like, for example, Sarah, my roommate and one of my best and closest friends, we have a new tradition where we cut down a Christmas tree every year, and we love it. We go saw one down, we walk through the fields, we find the perfect weird looking one because we don't like things that are, and it's part of our new tradition of our little chosen family. You know what I mean? So our family, our immediate family and our day-to-day life looks very atraditional, looks very non-traditional, and we love that, and that's super cool. And at the same time, if one goes to visit their family and they have family and that's part of their thing, great. But making new traditions as an avenue to healing the feelings that might emerge around a holiday. Like when I was in my major heartbreak phase, the holidays were extremely painful. I'm alone. I have nobody. All those sort of negative thoughts around love relationship would be really painful. I'm alone. You know what I mean? And so it would really be just hard to think, oh, I'm not going to have a present from someone. I don't have anyone to share it with. Just all those sort of negative cycling thoughts around that type of hurt. But yeah, and part of obviously healing that more deeply is a different animal, and that's necessary. And that's certainly what I did, but also coupling it with making new traditions and loving and accepting those, learning to live outside of those pre-prescribed boxes about what the holidays, Christmas or whatever should quote unquote look like, or what it looks like for the majority in our American society.
It's such a complex holiday, right? It's so complex because it's bridged all the gaps. It's across all the different continents. It's mixed in through all different religions. So you have different versions of Christmas under different religions. And then there's the whole thing of the tree, the ritual of the tree and the ornaments and the gift giving and the tales of St. Nicholas and reindeers. And you're just in these fanciful tales, and you're just what? Especially when, I can't even imagine being a kid today and growing up in the world of iPhones and computers and being told, trying to fathom some story of Santa Claus coming down the chimney, or nobody has a chimney anymore. And, and you're just what in the hell is this?
Yeah, what? Well, what's funny is Carolyn's one of my two best friends in the entire world. For Christmas, basically, we went to see Jen Kirkman do comedy in New York and Brooklyn. And it was hilarious. I don't know Jen Kirkman very well, but I learned a bit about her to go and see the show and then to actually have been at the show. She talks a lot about Gen X and how so many millennials and Gen Zers don't, and this is a broad sweeping thing. I don't know much about this, but she was talking about how they don't think that Gen X did anything because it's not, we weren't around with cell phones and constant photos of everything and this and that. And how she's talking about you would get a fucking disposable camera and it would last you the year. You know what I mean? And so it's funny to reflect on our generation. I think you're Gen X too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like our generation being the transition generation. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I know what I was thinking about as I was watching this documentary the night before last. It's this story of Marc-Andre Leclerc. Is a Canadian rock climber. The documentary is called The Alpinist. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't watched it yet, it's just incredible. I mean, his story, The Alpinist, it's on Netflix. Marc-Andre Leclerc, his approach to life in this modern day and age it made me think about a lot of my own journey because he was living without a phone, you know, and just climbing mountains and didn't really care about having a phone or not because his priority was not to be in communication with people, but to climb mountains.
Yeah.
And I remember living a large period of my life with no phone, you know, like where I'm like, I didn't have a phone or a bank account or a fixed address or anything like that. And so there's this weird time. I'm like, yeah, there was a time when I didn't have one, you know, and now I can't even fathom not having a phone.
I know.
But this is the weird thing is like, it's this weird transition because, there was back when I did the Appalachian Trail in 2012, we disconnected. We did not have carry phones.
Amazing.
We carried a single little Nokia that had one person's contact info in it, who was the person who was sending our supplies. And so we disconnected from the world in that context, right? So this whole idea of like, in our lifetimes, you know, as a younger person, we had black and white TVs and we had no phones. We'd have like the one that you'd go like, what do you call those ones where you have to
rotary,
the rotary
dial,
dial, you know, like a rotary dial, every one of the numbers, or wall mounted one with a really, really long cord that you could go across the kitchen.
I had both of those. Had both of those. Gen X, love it. Yeah. No, that's a really special. Right? It's really special. I think it points to some is if you have more to say, please say something and I'll save my thought.
No, I was just reflecting. I mean, you were touching on the whole like this ride from Gen X where I did have something I wanted to close with.
Yeah, go for it.
We've had this whole experience of like, it seems I don't know if it's going to seem like this to everybody, if it's like in every lifetime seems to have the same perspective where you're like, when I was a kid, we only had this. And then when I'm an adult or an older person or passing on, this is what we had.
Right.
Is it like that for everybody or does it change? You know, are we really on that tipping point? And I don't know. I saved this meme. This is what I wanted to close with.
Yeah.
I saved this meme because I saw it and it literally made me smile. It's I'll hold it up for our YouTube viewers. It's one of these old photos where everything's kind of sepia toned, right?
Yeah.
And it's a shirtless father holding a glass of beer for the baby who's probably within a year old, you know, who's sipping on the glass of beer, and the little kid's wearing a dress, you know, it's probably a boy. And I looked at this and I'm like, oh, I have a picture of me just like this, you know, like the exact same picture where my dad's got me cradled in his lap and he's helping me sip on a bottle of Labatt 50, you know, and I'm a baby, an infant, and it says Generation X, the last great generation before all you sissies were born.
Man.
It's derogatory, right? And it's not nice that it's derogatory, but it made me laugh because, this does feel like there was a big shift where when we learned to ice skate, we didn't have helmets or training wheels, and I was watching kids learning today, and they've got helmets.
I know.
They have helmets. I'm like, we just cracked our head on the ice.
Oh my God. I think about how many things, there's so many memories where I'm like, how am I alive? I mean, that skydiving notwithstanding, but I think what is useful to point out, which is sort of what we were pointing out with the non-judgment of how a person may or may not engage in the holiday season or enjoy it or not enjoy it, is I think it is another great opportunity to reflect on what privileges we have. You know what I mean? If I have money enough to buy presents and gifts for people that I care about, how wonderful is that? I want to be grateful for that. You mentioned the gratitude piece. And I think that recognition of privilege and stuff. So I think that can be a really powerful filter to just access gratitude and peace around it, to have friends to buy presents for. Some people are alone, and that's very sad, and that's understandable. How grateful am I for the people in my life? Some people don't have a home, and I have this beautiful home with a beautiful tree that I get to look at. How, you know what I mean? Like really taking stock of how different some people's lived experiences are comparatively to our own. I think that can really help us access ways to be of service. And I know, like, for the more, and actually I don't know this, but I imagine the tone of being of service in the realm of Christianity or Jesus or whatever, that I don't know how people necessarily talk about that piece. Even though I grew up in a Christian household, I don't honestly really remember how people talk about that. But the idea of how can we be of service to our communities? How can we give to people less fortunate than us? Those are themes that have always been in my holiday experience as well. Maybe you volunteer, maybe you donate a toy for tot type of thing in your mall. You throw in a teddy bear or something like that. Like, I think those are good touchstones to important perspectives versus just barreling into the holiday in our own way without contemplation.
Yeah, that's really powerful reflection for sure. I can reflect a little bit on, you actually triggered a bunch of memories. When I was a young boy, my mother was disabled. Mm-hmm. She was in a car accident. She was a taxi driver. So she was a single parent, and a sole source of income was her driving taxi. And when she got hit by a drunk driver, it disabled her, and she was injured pretty badly for a long time, couldn't drive anymore. Mm-hmm. And we actually, as kids, received support at Christmas time and other times of the year through the local charitable organizations, which helped to make sure there were presents under our Christmas tree.
That's great.
So I can remember receiving gifts that were said from Santa and knowing and seeing the tears in my mom's eyes, that the gifts that were under the tree for the kids, which was myself and my brother, they were coming from one of the local charitable organizations. And I'm sorry that I can't quote who that was. Being that I was probably 6 or 7 years old at the time.
Yeah. But
I do remember these important things like socks being a Christmas mm-hmm. present, and mm-hmm. you're like really stoked to get some new socks. Even though you're a kid, you're like, I really want a toy.
Right.
But then there'd also be a toy in there, and yeah, that was really powerful. It's really powerful to remember how it's not as easy for everybody all the time, and refocusing can be a really powerful process.
Yeah. And I think that story is beautiful. I think of the impact on you as the kid getting something, not getting nothing. And I think about the impact on your mom, who is probably, like, again, the tears in her eyes are representative. I cannot imagine not of just so grateful that her boys that she loves so much are having a positive experience of their holiday versus a hurting one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Do you ever have that experience? I mean, you're a cat owner. Has your cat pulled your Christmas tree down?
She actually hasn't, not yet. She sort of like eyes the lower hanging fruit, as it were, but she's so comically indifferent to shit. She's like, fuck you. She's like, whatever that thing is, I'm just going to lay over here. But at the same time, she was on the table yesterday and Sarah had some presents and some, like, I don't know, those round candies. And she was like, so she'll get like fixated on one thing. So I think we've achieved having ornaments that she won't fixate on, not low enough for her to get after them. Yeah.
We had multiple times from my childhood where I can remember the cats just going straight up the tree, like up inside the tree, and then the whole thing coming over, you know.
It's so hilarious.
It's comical,
I almost wish Matilda would do that, because I would just be like, that is like my favorite memory of the entire year.
Do you watch the Griswolds?
Fuck yes. I'm totally into it. I'm totally into there's certain holiday movies that I do watch. I just watched Elf, definitely the Griswolds, Die Hard, of course.
Die Hard. I mean, how has this become our version of a Christmas classic?
I know.
You're like, wait a second, this is Bruce Willis fighting terrorists in a big skyscraper? Is it a skyscraper?
Yeah, I used to work in that building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I moved to Los Angeles with the investment banking job that I had back in the day, I worked on the 13th floor of that building. It's called Fox Plaza. So they called it Nakatomi Plaza in the movie, but it's Fox Plaza.
I have to say that's actually another one of those movies that contributed pushing me towards base jumping. I don't know why
the influences of our young life. It's so weird. Yeah. What about you? Do you watch movies now that you're sort of more through? Yeah.
My mom had a big influence on our television experience as a child. She was quite, I guess, as good as a parent can be about being present to what we were watching or were not watching. So there's quite a bit of positive influence, but then there were the times where I guess she wasn't paying attention, and there was some really negative influence through television. But, the favorites are all the old classics, like anything Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Charles Schultz. Those are just iconic. And I grew up with the era where we watched the claymation and the puppeteer type stuff, where Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Little Red Reindeer, which was like a little puppet.
The Rudolph was claymation. Frosty wasn't. Frosty claymation? I think it was, and Frosty was the cartoon, right? At least that's what I remember. No, but we totally watched those too.
Well, there's the one with the abominable snowman in it too. Like all those, I love those classics.
Rudolph.
Is it Rudolph? And and then there's the character with all the little flame hair. Those are classics. I really enjoy those. I still will pull them up once in a while and watch those just for old time's sake,
Yeah. And I think that it touches us back to something. I was just reflecting on this actually when we went to New York for the Jen Kirkman thing, for this Christmas adventure that we had planned for making memories as best friends.
I got to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Your hat is hilarious.
I know.
I just can't. I'm trying to be serious and keep eye contact with you, but your hat.
I know. Well, we did just talk. Queen Jasmine is drawn to the sequins and the beauty, so it does not surprise me that you're loving this hat. You're welcome, world. You are welcome, world. No, but we were reflecting on that because I lived in New York in a youthful part of my life. It was where I moved right after I graduated Middlebury, and so it was my first job out of college. I was a young person, my first venture into life on my own, because college, you're still sort of half in the nest, you know what I mean? But And we were wondering, is that because it was a more formative, I mean, I guess that's maybe not the right word, but an experience from my young life, why, if that's partly why I love New York so much. I think it's a bit of both, that it was when I was young that I moved there and loved it, and I love the unique and special energy of New York City. But it goes back to these shows. Like, why would we want to watch a fucking claymation show that we've seen 50 times? You know what I mean? It's because there's some sense of like a touch point back to a simpler time, or a touch point back to something that felt, safe and secure, or it touches us with to those older emotions, I think.
I think that anytime that we have a relationship to a point in our lives where we're children, it's a different version of us, right? Like, I've had a number of these where there's an instance of relation. It's kind of like a moment of meditation, actually, where you're like, I'm suddenly able to be transposed to a different perspective on things. I'm not being my mind, I'm viewing my mind, and we're able to stop being who we are in this moment. 48-year-old Jay is no longer 48-year-old Jay, and my mind's eye shifts to being 6 or 7-year-old Jay, and having that same, childlike perspective on the world. And that's really special. It's really special when we can be there. I had it happen the other day. It was so instantaneous too. And it was in a moment of play. And I really noticed it, because I was suddenly like, oh, I really feel different right now. Like, there's something happening it's not the same kind of like day-to-day version of me. Suddenly I was, curious and just seeking to like learn more and explore. And it was this little toy ball that I'd ordered from somewhere online. I was like, oh, this will be a fun party toy to bring out and play with. And when it arrived, I pulled it out and I started playing with it with my friend in the yard. And immediately you've got two 40-something-year-old guys running around the yard like little kids, chasing this toy ball that's like zinging around everywhere. And I saw the size of the smile on my friend's face, and I heard myself laughing, and I was like, oh man, look at us, right? Like we're acting like little kids right now. And it's so joyful and so natural and so unencumbered and just truly curious and playful. And it really did trigger an awareness. I'm like, oh, this feels really nice. And this is the kind of thing I should allow to happen more often. You know? And I think you kind of have to look for it. Like, it doesn't just happen, like once I've had this life experience where, and I can relate this to the holidays too, where I can say, oh yeah, Christmas tree. Oh yeah, eggnog. Wow. I can be like, I've done all this before. What fun is it? Yep. Or I can actually get into it and revel in whatever everybody else is and reveling in it, and also just have that same resonant experience. Like, oh, if there's somebody who's enjoying what they're experiencing right now, I can enjoy seeing them enjoying themselves. And that can be a resonance experience where I'm now able to enjoy myself more and be in that same playful place.
Yeah. Enthusiasm is brave. Seriously, in a culture where we are not as supported to express, you know what I mean? When we are brave enough to say, I'm into this, I'm enjoying this, I'm going to do this, and I want to do this, this is cool. Right? We're asserting a firm stance on whatever it is that we're doing. Like, absolutely, people could look at me being all stoked on my Christmas tree on the internet, or my cat, or my whatever I post about a lot, and judge that as uncool. You know what I mean? Is be like, because there's an extreme, there's sort of an edge. When we're talking about enthusiasm, it means we're taking an opinion or a support of something to a more extreme place. And that then it can be met with judgment. Me wearing a stupid sparkly hat is a version of that. where I have to be cool with people being like, that's stupid. But I'm like, I'm cool with it because I like it.
It's not stupid. I mean? It's not stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Silly. Because, that's what I believe in. Totally exactly right.
It's not doing very much to cover your head.
No.
Put it that way.
It's, oh my God. You guys, now everybody listening has to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe just to see this hat.
So the function of a hat, let's just talk about this for a second here. Because is this hat supposed to like keep the sun off you or keep your ears warm? Or is it like trying to keep the sun out of your eyes? Like, no?
Oh, I love this hat. I almost wore the antlers, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go with the hat today. The fact that I have fucking plethora of choices of these holiday headband hats and antlers should also speak volumes as to where I roll, how I roll.
I can completely relate when you start speaking about a plethora of ridiculously sparkly things for no reason except that they're sparkly and fun.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. It's funny you mentioned this earlier, but it's kind of sad, and also I don't know what it is, but one of the things I wrote down was commerce. Christmas includes commerce. You know what I mean? We sell stuff, we buy stuff. I mean, not everybody, but like, it's a part of the nature of this time and this holiday. I'm happy to share things. If you guys want to buy stuff that I sell, you're certainly welcome to do that. There are books. I feel like I want to just list them off because honestly, why not?
Go for it.
Yeah. I think most of you know I'm a writer, but How to Fly is out in print or Audible. We have our graphic memoir. It's called With Our Whole Broken Hearts. That is a really powerful share. So for anybody who is in heartbreak or you want to support someone who's feeling challenged that way, that's a really good gift. One Positive Thought Can Change Everything. That's my first book. It's a quote book and and sort of journal. But I love that. It's all on my website, melaniecurtis.com. You can hire me as a life coach, do a sample session, go into 2022 with some support and teamwork. There's swag. Trust the Journey has swag as well. You could buy a Patreon membership. That could be a gift to yourself, is joining us in the Trust the Journey family. I do online classes also, but it's all on my website. But yeah, if you guys really are looking for last minute gifts, I welcome it. I'm happy to send you a gift certificate if you want to wrap something up for somebody. But melaniecurtis.com is where all of my stuff is. And I appreciate anybody who decides to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Melanie.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to share?
Oh, I'm actually kind of just like having this more round experience of the holidays. I was just thinking about it a little bit this year. A couple days ago, excuse me. Pardon me. I still like have a little bit of fear related to the holidays. I was actually just like meditating on how do I feel about the holidays? What do I want to do? My life's changing right now, where I'm in a different living situation, and I'm like, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be with? What do I want to do? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel about the holidays? Is like a question that I asked myself, and I even asked that around recent Thanksgiving. I was like, how do I want to feel about this? Because I have these feelings that I've had, which are a mixed bag, where there's been really great times. Like for a long time, Christmas meant skydiving my butt off.
Yeah.
Like a ton of skydiving and to lots of people coming around. And now that's not the case anymore. It's a different experience. And actually where I live now, most people leave and go away.
Yeah.
So this is not a Christmas destination. It's kind of the opposite, where for most of my adult life, I've been where everybody wants to go at Christmas.
Yeah.
So I've been reflecting on it a little bit and kind of detaching from my own oh, I need it. It is a certain way because of my past experience, like, and trying to be more present to that. And I think that's a really great touch point for anybody who might be listening. And like, if I have had negative experience with, one of the traumas that comes up with me is fighting with family.
Yeah.
Okay? So one of the common occurrences that would happen in my family is people would scream and yell at each other. Oof. And there would be arguments. And that was really traumatizing because I had traumas and triggers related to fighting and yelling. So if those things came up in relationship to a holiday, then for me, that was attached to the trigger for the trauma, right? And so now I have to remember, I'm like, that's probably not going to happen in my sphere. And so I don't have to like have a fear related to the holiday occurring because of some, old memory or old trauma. And so I can choose. I'm like, actually, what do I want to do with this holiday? Like, how do I want to approach it? Do I want to take it for myself and do something specifically, as a gift to myself? Do I want to do something for others? Do I want to work in a charitable way where I'm like, help at the soup kitchen, or like just be involved in a community center, or help to provide for those who have less in whatever way, form, or shape that might be? And really just kind of make a bigger reflection on my action towards the holidays rather than just having a pre-programmed response. I think that's like what I really want to do overall in life, is like break away from this conditioning that Christmas means commercialism or anything. It doesn't matter whether it's Christmas or whether it's birthday or whether it's just every day of my life. I should work from Monday to Friday or whatever the concept is. Like, I really just want to take a step back from whatever preconceived idea I have about something and look at it another way and say, what do I really want it to look like? How could I imagine it being another way, and how would it feel the best? Like imagine it feeling really good, and then take the action steps that are necessary to bring that to reality.
I love that. I think that's so important. I think there is a process to that. Of the version of that for me is, I have really, and I've said this many times, and I've been working on this for multiple years, is traveling less. And so this feeling, this calling of wanting to be home, in my home in the Northeast, and just allow that and be okay with not going to visit my parents or something. I make them a priority in a lot of other ways, which makes me feel peaceful. Relative to, do I have to go and spend the holiday with the family that I like to be around? You know what I mean? No, I don't. I can still stay home. You know what I mean? I can still spend it by myself, and that's okay. I can spend it with Matil, or I can go skiing with a friend, or I can whatever, you know what I mean? Make a new thing. I can take the train into New York. I can whatever, Sarah and I can open gifts and have it be traditional with us. It can be lots of different things, but what I'm pointing to is the autopilot of, it's Christmas, I would have to be with my family. If I'm not with my family, I'm missing out on something. You know what I mean? Like the idea of traveling to Florida, as much as I love being with my mom, you know how much I love my mom, I loathe the idea of going to Florida during the holidays. So I don't want it. So I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to. And it's okay. You know what I mean? But historically, feeling sort of the pressure or fearing my emotional response of loneliness or of FOMO, that fear of missing out or something, or like that type of feeling, if I opted out of the traditional choice.
It's interesting how different our lives are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely relate, though. I understand, and it's the perspective is really valid, and I think it's really important for each of us to kind of look inside of ourselves and decide where we want where and how we want to relate to the holidays, because this life is short, right? And our opportunities are limited. And there's only going to be so many. They're going to go by and they're going to be gone. And we can look back at it later and have whatever experiences we want, but it's really up to us to choose.
Yeah.
How. Yeah.
And I do feel that. I feel the loss of that, with my gram being gone and our family not getting together for big family holidays anymore. And even my nuclear family not getting together anymore. I miss that.
A nuclear family?
Meaning my mom, my dad, my brother, like my immediate family versus extended family. So like I would mean me getting together with Mom, Al, and Matt and the people connected to those people, but not my aunts and uncles and stuff like that, But yeah, I miss that. Like I would love that, and I've made efforts to try to plan stuff, but my brother and my sister, they have their own kids and they have their own families and they want to be at their house, and I can honor that choice too. It makes me go, oh man, it's like, so it makes me wistful for the times when we were together playing chess, you know what I mean? Like watching TV in our PJs and our fluffy socks and just opening presents together. I cherish those memories and I recognize that that's probably, it's maybe not never going to happen again, but those days are definitely gone. So you make new memories, you make new things. And I think embracing that and accepting that is the way to still enjoying it and feeling like it's of value and not just an emotional pain point for you. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
I felt that one coming for a while.
The release. Feels so good.
Yeah. I really hope that there's snow on the ground today when everybody's listening.
Me too.
Yeah.
I posted
go for a walk in the snow.
Yeah, I know.
I love the crunch and the fluff and the this. It's such a beautiful thing, I
already have a ski trip to Vermont booked for the preceding days to Christmas. So
nice.
I'm banking on snow existing in Vermont. It's a little bit further north, so I think it's very likely.
What's the name of the resort there?
I mean, there's a bunch of them, but I'm going to go to Killington. I've never been.
Killington.
I've never been to Killington.
That's where I went when I was back in my 20s. I used to live in Massachusetts, spent a bunch of time up there. And any of my Massachusetts friends are listening. Hey, I miss you guys. I love you. Such a good time in life. So many fantastic memories. And I can remember some of my friends were actually worked at the bar up there at Killington, and I went up there for like first day of the season.
So stoked.
Back in like I'm going to say like 98, 99 kind of time.
That's when I was at Middlebury. Yeah. Jay, our paths, 2 ships crossing in the night.
Yeah. Man, the snow was terrible. The snow was so bad.
It's New England.
So bad. Oh.
That's how I know how to ski. I don't even know how to ski powder.
Ice.
Don't even know.
Ice.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, hopefully they groom it and it's like, okay, good.
Oh, shall we?
We shall. Well, hopefully by the time you are listening to this, family, I will have gone skiing, and the next episode I will report back about how wonderful it was. But really, ultimately, we love you all, however you choose to celebrate or not celebrate or whatever. I think going back to the gratitude and generosity of this time, at least for me, I am just so grateful for everybody, all of you who are listening. It really is wonderful to know that what we're doing is of value to you guys. And so, yeah, please hit us up with any questions or any other way we can maybe support you, or just thoughts that you have for us. We always welcome that. And of course, join us in the Trusted Journey family if you want to as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate your support. If you would choose to become a Patreon supporter, it really makes a big difference to us being able to continue producing this show. Any donation will get you into the Trust the Journey family, which we'd love to have you there. Wonderful group of humans there. And I truly, personally appreciate all of your support because, I'm part of this family, you're part of this family, and, we all contribute into that, supporting each other through that emotionally safe space that we create at the Trust the Journey family.
Yeah.
If you want to connect with us on Instagram or Facebook or anything, it's trustthejourney.today.
That's right. And Jason_Moledzki or Melanie Curtis 11. And KimberlyJoyVoice@gmail.com if you want the support for the podcast editing. She's a dream. Don't totally hire her if you need that kind of support. But ultimately, we love you so much, and we just are so grateful for you and heading into the new year soon.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We love you guys.
Merry Christmas.